Catering staff this way, ma'am, the security guard at the Ritz-Carlton penthouse entrance said, gesturing toward the service corridor without looking up from his clipboard, his dismissive tone suggesting I was late for my shift serving hors d'oeuvres. In my purse, pressed between my phone and lipstick, was the keycard designating me as penthouse owner and CEO of Castellano Hotel Group, the company that owned this Ritz-Carlton, 16 other luxury hotels across North America, and the very floor this engagement party was happening on. What the security guard didn't know, what my future daughter-in-law Ainsley Whitmore and her blue blood family were about to discover, was that the embarrassing mother they'd seated in the kitchen was actually their landlord for the evening, and I'd just overheard Ainsley tell her mother exactly what she thought of me. But let me start 3 hours earlier, because context matters. My name is Diana Castellano, and I'm the 54-year-old founder and CEO of Castellano Hotel Group. I built my company from a single struggling motel I bought for $180,000 30 years ago into a luxury hospitality empire worth $1.2 billion. Forbes featured me last year. I've been keynote speaker at industry conferences. I employ 4,200 people. My son Michael knows all of this, obviously. He grew up watching me build the business, saw the sacrifices, understood the work. He's proud of what I've accomplished, or so I thought. Then he met Ainsley Whitmore. The Whitmores are old money, the kind that traces back to railroad barons and steel magnates. They have a family estate in Connecticut, a cottage in Martha's Vineyard, and the kind of social connections that open doors I had to kick down myself. Ainsley went to Choate, then Yale. She works in philanthropy, which as far as I can tell means attending charity galas and sitting on boards. Michael met her 18 months ago at a friend's wedding. He's a software engineer, brilliant and kind, but not from her world. When he told me he was serious about her, I was happy for him. Then I met the Whitmores. The first dinner was at their Connecticut estate. I drove up from New York in my Mercedes, understated professional. I wore an Armani suit. I thought I'd made an effort. Ainsley's mother, Catherine Whitmore, greeted me at the door with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Diana, how wonderful to finally meet you. Michael has told us so much about his working mother. Working mother. Like it was a diagnosis. The dinner was excruciating. Her father, Bradford Whitmore III, asked what I did. I explained I owned a hotel company. Oh, like a bed and breakfast? Catherine asked. No, luxury hotels. We operate 17 properties. How charming. Bradford, Diana runs hotels. Like that show, what's it called? The one with the staff drama? They literally thought I was a hotel manager, not the owner of a multi-billion-dollar company. And when I tried to clarify, Ainsley interrupted. Mother, let's not talk business at dinner. It's so tedious. The message was clear. I was beneath them, and my work was beneath discussion. Michael tried to defend me, but Ainsley squeezed his hand and changed the subject to their upcoming engagement party. We're thinking the Ritz-Carlton penthouse, she announced. Daddy's friend is on the board, so we can secure it. I said nothing. The Ritz-Carlton she was referring to was mine. I'd acquired it 6 years ago as part of a distressed asset purchase and spent $40 million renovating it into the crown jewel of my portfolio. Sounds lovely, I'd said neutrally. Over the next few months, the planning continued. Ainsley made it clear, without ever saying it directly, that my presence was an embarrassment. The invitations went out. Ainsley's family, 150 people. My side, me, and maybe I could bring a guest if I wanted. It's just that our guest list is very curated, Ainsley explained when Michael protested. These are important people. Business connections for Daddy, social connections for me. We can't just... She'd stopped herself, but the implication was clear. She couldn't just invite my friends. They weren't the right kind of people. Michael was caught in the middle. He loved Ainsley, but he was starting to see how his future in-laws viewed his mother. Maybe you could talk to them, he'd asked me last week. Explain about your company? They don't understand. They don't want to understand, I'd said gently. They've decided who I am. But Mom, you're successful. I'm successful in a way they don't respect. I worked for my money. To them, that makes it worth less. Which brings us to today. I'd arrived at the Ritz-Carlton at 6:30 p.m. for the 7 o'clock party. I was wearing a custom Valentino gown, midnight blue, elegant, expensive. My jewelry was understated but real. I looked like I belonged at an upscale engagement party. The security guard at the penthouse entrance took one look at me and pointed to the service corridor. Excuse me? I'd said. Catering staff entrance is that way. You should have checked in downstairs. I'm not catering staff. I'm a guest. He checked his list, running his finger down names. What's your name? Diana Castellano. He scanned, frowned. I don't see you on the guest list. That's impossible. I'm the groom's mother. His expression shifted to confusion, then pity. Ma'am, maybe there's been a mistake. Let me call up to the event coordinator. That won't be necessary, a voice interrupted. I turned to see Ainsley herself, radiant in a champagne-colored dress, coming down the hallway with her mother. Diana. Ainsley's voice was all artificial sweetness. You made it. We were just discussing the seating arrangement. There seems to be confusion, I said. The security guard thinks I'm catering staff. Catherine laughed, a tinkling sound that made me want to throw something. Oh, that's understandable. Your dress is so practical. Not everyone has a sense for formal occasions. My Valentino gown that cost $8,000 was practical. About the seating, Ainsley continued, linking her arm through mine in a gesture that looked friendly but felt like a grip. We've had to make some adjustments. The main reception area is quite full, so many important guests, but we've set up a lovely spot for you in the service area. Near the kitchen. That way you'll be comfortable and out of sight, I suggested. Catherine's smile tightened. We're just being considerate. You'll be more comfortable away from all the social requirements. These events can be so performative. You'll be able to relax. That's when I heard it, Ainsley speaking quietly to her mother, not realizing I was still close enough to overhear. Don't worry, Mother. I've seated Michael's embarrassing mother in the kitchen where no one will see her. We can't have her talking to Daddy's business associates. Can you imagine? Catherine had laughed. Good thinking, darling. Just get through tonight, then you can start managing Michael's family expectations properly. I stood there, hidden by the hallway corner, and felt something cold settle in my chest. They weren't just dismissive. They were actively hiding me. That's when I decided to let this play out. The kitchen area sounds perfect, I told Ainsley with a warm smile. Very thoughtful of you. She looked relieved. Wonderful. The party starts at 7. I'll have someone escort you. I followed a server through the service corridors to a small table set up near the kitchen entrance. It had a white tablecloth and a single-place setting, like I was being quarantined. From my position, I could see into the main penthouse through a service window. The party was spectacular. My events team had outdone themselves. Chandeliers, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, champagne flowing, a string quartet playing. And there, in the center of it all, was Michael, my son, looking handsome in his tuxedo, greeting guests, laughing with Ainsley's friends. I pulled out my phone and sent a text to Patricia Vance, my director of hotel operations. Patricia, I'm at the penthouse party. Could you join me? And bring the building manager, Thomas. Her response was immediate. On our way. While I waited, I watched the party through the service window. I saw Catherine Whitmore holding court, introducing Ainsley to elderly men in expensive suits. I saw Bradford Whitmore III, Ainsley's father, laughing with a group by the bar. And I saw Michael, occasionally glancing around like he was looking for someone. For me. Patricia arrived 10 minutes later with Thomas Graham, the Ritz-Carlton building manager. Ms. Castellano, Patricia said, taking in my position near the kitchen with barely concealed fury. What's going on? I'm at my son's engagement party, I said calmly. As you can see, I've been given the VIP treatment. Thomas looked through the service window at the main party. That's the Whitmore event. They booked the penthouse 6 months ago. Paid the $50,000 rental fee. Interesting, I said. Patricia, remind me, when did we institute a policy of seating guests near the kitchen? We didn't. That's not. She stopped, understanding dawning. Ms. Castellano, did they put you here deliberately? My future daughter-in-law thought it would be better if I wasn't visible to the important guests. She described me as embarrassing. Patricia's face went through several emotions. What would you like us to do? Nothing yet. But I think it's time for the owner to make an appearance. Thomas, could you please inform the Whitmores that I'd like a word? Tell them the hotel owner needs to discuss a matter regarding their event. Thomas smiled. With pleasure. 5 minutes later, Bradford Whitmore III appeared in the service corridor, looking annoyed. Catherine followed him. This is highly irregular, Bradford said. We're in the middle of an event. What could be so important that the hotel management? He stopped when he saw me. Good evening, Mr. Whitmore, I said, standing. I'm Diana Castellano, CEO and owner of Castellano Hotel Group. We own this Ritz-Carlton, along with 16 other properties. I believe you've rented our penthouse for an engagement party. The color drained from his face. Catherine's mouth opened and closed like a fish. Now, I continued pleasantly, I'm trying to understand why I've been seated in the service corridor at my own son's engagement party, while you filled the actual venue with your guests. Diana, I didn't realize we thought, Bradford stammered. You thought I was what? A struggling single mother Michael should be embarrassed by? Someone to be hidden away. Catherine found her voice. We didn't know you owned, Michael never said. Michael assumed you'd treat his mother with respect regardless of her net worth. Apparently, that was optimistic. Patricia stood beside me, tablet in hand. Ms. Castellano, should I cancel the Whitmore reservation? We can refund their deposit, and they can relocate their event. Cancel? Catherine's voice went shrill. We have 150 guests arriving, who are currently in a venue you're renting from me, I said. And I'm deciding whether I want to continue hosting an event where I've been deliberately marginalized. Bradford tried to recover. Diana, this is clearly a misunderstanding. Ainsley was just trying to hide me. Yes, I heard her tell you that. I was embarrassing and needed to be kept out of sight of your important friends. Ainsley herself appeared then, having noticed her parents' absence. When she saw us in the service corridor, saw me standing with my hotel staff, her confident expression faltered. What's going on? Your future mother-in-law, her father said tightly, owns this hotel. Ainsley's face went white. The hotel you're currently hosting your party in, I clarified. The one where you seated me in the kitchen because you were embarrassed by me. I just thought. She looked between her parents and me. Michael never said you owned hotels. He said I worked in hospitality. You assumed that meant I was a hotel manager or desk clerk. You never bothered to ask for clarification. Michael appeared behind Ainsley, taking in the scene. Mom, what's happening? I looked at my son, my brilliant, kind son who'd found himself engaged to a woman who wanted to hide his mother. Michael, did you know Ainsley seated me in the service corridor for your engagement party? His face went from confused to horrified. What? No, Mom, you were supposed to be at table 3. There is no table 3 for her, Ainsley said quietly. I moved her. I thought, she couldn't finish. You thought what? Michael's voice was dangerously quiet. That your mother wasn't appropriate for our guest list. The silence was devastating. My mother, Michael said slowly, built a billion-dollar company from nothing. She put me through MIT. She's been profiled in Forbes. And you thought she wasn't appropriate. I didn't know. You didn't ask. His voice rose. You met my mother, decided she was beneath you, and never bothered to learn anything about her. Bradford tried to intervene. Son, let's all calm down. I'm not your son, Michael said flatly. He turned to Ainsley. Is this who you are? Someone who judges people by their pedigree and hides them when they don't measure up. Michael, please. Ainsley reached for him. He stepped back. I need to think about this. He walked away, back into the party, leaving Ainsley in tears. I looked at the Whitmores, Bradford's pompous expression crumbling, Catherine's social mask slipping, Ainsley crying. Here's what's going to happen, I said calmly. Your party will continue. You paid for the space, and I honor contracts. But after tonight, you and I need to have a conversation, Ainsley, about whether you actually want to marry my son. Because if you're ashamed of where he comes from, this marriage won't work. I'm not ashamed. You seated his mother in the kitchen. At his engagement party. In a hotel she owns. What else would you call that? I turned to Patricia. Please escort me to the main party. I'd like to greet my son's guests properly. We walked into the penthouse, me in my Valentino gown, Patricia beside me in her impeccable suit. Conversation stopped as we entered. I saw Michael near the windows, saw his face light up when he saw me. I walked over to him, and he hugged me tight. I'm so sorry, Mom. Not your fault. I should have made sure they understood. You shouldn't have to explain your mother's worth. They should have seen it. We stood together, looking out at the city lights, while behind us the party slowly resumed its polite chatter. Ainsley appeared beside us, mascara smudged. Diana, I'm sorry. I was wrong. I was so wrong. I looked at her, really looked. She was young, 26, raised in a bubble of privilege that taught her to value the wrong things. Ainsley, I'm going to tell you something your mother never did. Where someone comes from matters less than where they're going. I came from nothing. I built something. That doesn't make me less than you. It makes me someone who understands the value of work. I know that now. Do you? Or do you just know that I'm rich and therefore acceptable? She flinched. That's not fair. Isn't it? If I was a hotel manager, would you still be apologizing? Or would I still be in the kitchen? She had no answer. Michael took my hand. Mom, can we go? I don't want to be here anymore. We left together, mother and son, walking out of the party I'd hosted in the building I owned, leaving Ainsley and her family to explain to 150 guests why the groom had left his own engagement party. In the car, Michael said, I don't know if I can marry her. That's between you and Ainsley. But Michael, I waited until he looked at me. Never let anyone make you ashamed of where you came from. I'm not embarrassing. I'm extraordinary. And so are you. I know, Mom. I've always known. 2 weeks later, Michael ended the engagement. Ainsley's family tried to save it, even offered to pay for the wedding. But Michael had seen something he couldn't unsee, who Ainsley became when she thought someone wasn't watching. 6 months later, Michael met someone new. A teacher named Sophia who asked me a million questions about the hotel business and told me I was inspiring. When they got engaged, we had a small party at my house in Westchester. No one was seated in the kitchen. I learned something that night at the Ritz-Carlton. The people who treat you like help when they think you're struggling are the same people who'll kiss up to you when they learn you're successful. Real character shows up when there's nothing to gain. Ainsley Whitmore saw a working mother and decided I was embarrassing. She never saw the CEO, the empire builder, the woman who'd fought for every dollar. That wasn't my failure. It was hers. And when you own the building, you never have to sit in the kitchen.